Shalom. I'm Alma Ayalea coming to the Daughters of Zion just to share a word that I came across last week in my studies. Basically, man's fire versus the Most High God's fire. And it is taken from Leviticus chapter 10, the first 7 verses. Okay. But before I get started on the lesson, I also wanted to share with the Daughters of Zion that a week or so ago I did start a study on the 22 Hebrew letters, because I believe learning those letters and learning how to read Hebrew, it basically gives you a deeper understanding of the Torah. Okay, and I think that's just awesome to be able to dive a little deeper into the Torah to get a deeper meaning of it. So basically, and I thought that, hey, I'll just bring y'all along and show you my method of striving to learn each letter and also the characteristics to it. And I also wanted to say that each of the Hebrew letters are found in Psalms 119. Okay, each Hebrew letter is found in Psalms chapter 119. And then, of course, we all know that the first letter is ALEPH. ALEPH. And ALEPH is the pronunciation of the modern biblical pronunciation of the first letter ALEPH. Okay, but when you're talking about paleo in the ancient, it is just basically R. Okay, and let me show you a picture of the first letter, which is ALEPH. Okay, you see that? ALEPH. And each letter has its own number, and the number that is assigned to ALEPH is 1. Okay, and so I will read the verses from Psalms 119 that go along with this particular letter, and then I will basically give you the 8 characteristics that ALEPH carries, and also show you the method that I use to help me to memorize the 8 characteristics for ALEPH. Okay, so I will be reading Psalms 119, the first 8 verses, and it reads, "Blessed are the undefiled in the way, who walk in the law of the Most High Yah. Blessed are those who keep his testimonies, who seek him with a whole heart. They also do no iniquity. They walk in his ways. You have commanded us to keep your precepts diligently. Oh, that my ways were directed to keep your statutes. Then I would not be ashamed. When I look into all your commandments, I will praise you with uprightness of heart. When I learn your righteous judgments, I will keep your statutes. Oh, do not forsake me utterly." Okay, so that is the 8 verses from Psalms 119 that goes for the letter ALEPH. Okay, and so the 8 characteristics for the letter ALEPH is ox, Yah, first, gentle, leader, teach, tame, and strength. And how I memorized them is that what I did is I basically wrote it in a paragraph. Okay, and so I basically thought of a sentence or a paragraph to write, and this is what I came up with to include all 8 characteristics for the first letter, which is ALEPH. And it reads, "Ox represent Yah, our first gentle leader, who teach and tame us with his strength." Okay, I will repeat that. Ox represents Yah, our first gentle leader, who teach and tame us with his strength. Okay, and so I just found that was an easy way for me to remember all 8 characteristics of the first letter. Okay, you may want to try it and come up with your own paragraph to memorize it. But that works for me. And I also try to, on most days, I have this little template paper that I came up with right here, and I basically try to write the letters in modern Hebrew as well as Paleo, and I try to do that on most days. Okay, so with that being said, let's move on to our lesson. I don't want to stay before y'all too long, and like I said, this is basically a lesson about obedience, obeying the Most High, doing the things the way He want it done versus the way that we see that we want to do things for Him. Okay, and so I'm going to read the first 7 verses of the 10th chapter of Leviticus, and it reads, Then Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, each took his censer and put fire in it, put incense on it, and offered profane fire before Yahweh, who had not commanded them. So fire went out from Yahweh and devoured them, and they died before Yahweh. And Moshe said to Aharon, This is what Yahweh spoke, saying, By those who come near me, I must be regarded as holy Kodesh, and before all the people I must be glorified. So Aharon held his peace. Then Moshe called Mishael and Elzaphan, the sons of Azazel, the uncle of Aharon, and said to them, Come near, carry your brethren from before the sanctuary out of the camp. So they came near and carried them by their tunics out of the camp, as Moshe had said. And Moshe said to Aharon and to Eleazar and to Ithamar his sons, Do not uncover your heads, nor tear your clothes, lest you die, and wrath come upon all the people. But let your brethren, the whole house of Yasharal, bewail the burning which Yahuwah hath kindled. You shall not go out from the door of the tabernacle of meeting, lest you die. For the anointing oil of Yahuwah is upon you. And they did according to the words of Moshe. Okay, and so basically I just want to take a little time to break these 7 verses down a little bit to get a clearer understanding on exactly what happened here. Okay, and I will just basically go each verse at a time. The first verse, and this is Leviticus chapter 10 verse 1. Then Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aharon, each took his censer and put fire in it, put incense on it, and offered profane fire before Yahuwah, which he had not commanded them. Okay, so once I did a little deeper study of just trying to break the words down a little bit, I basically looked up the word censer. Censer is H4289, and it's pronounced mata, and it's more like a snuff pan or a fire pan. But I did locate a picture of a censer, and it could have been close to the censer that they used, because they had some fancy stuff back there. They had some real fancy stuff. Okay, and so this is a censer that Nadab and Abihu, they put incense in it to offer strange or profane fire to the Most High Yah that He told them not to do. Okay, all right, let's move on. Okay, and I also looked up the word incense. Okay, incense is H7004, and that's Kitharoth. Okay, and that basically means like perfume, sweet incense. Okay, and then I also looked up profane fire, more like a strange fire. Okay, and that's H2114, and that's Zor, and that basically means profane or strange fire. Okay, And so let's move to the next verse, because like I said, I don't want to be before y'all too long. Okay, verse 2 says, so fire went out from Yahuwah and devoured them, and they died before Yahuwah. Devour is H398, consume of fire. Okay, consume of fire. Okay, so let's go to verse 3, and it reads, and Moshe said to Aharon, this is what Yahuwah spoke, saying, by those who come near me, I must be regarded as holy Kodesh, and before all the people I must be glorified. And so after that, Aharon held his peace. So I just want to stop there for a minute and put a lot of and just emphasize what is being said here. So basically, the Most High is saying that before all the people and those who come near him, he have to be basically regarded as holy Kodesh. Okay, and then the second section is saying, and before all the people I must be glorified. Okay, so that's all the people. Okay, you're not going to put him to shame. You're not going to steal his glory in front of all the people. You're going to basically give him all the glory. All the glory. Not some of it, but all the glory. And I know at times we all, the Most High calls us into different ministries, things that he will have us to do. And one thing we have to remember, we are just vessels. We are their servants, vessels for the Most High, and we are to obey and do what he have us to do, regardless of what ministry he have us doing. We want to do our best, but when we are approached by people and they are patting us on the back and saying, oh man, you doing this and you doing that, no, we have to get that glory off of us and give it to the Most High, because we are nothing without him, nothing without the Most High Yah. And so my thing is, and I have heard others say, when people say, okay, well, you did this and you did that, basically say all praises to the Most High. All praises to the Most High, because it's by his strength, by his might, that he chose me to do this particular ministry. Okay, and so it's so important that we obey and do things exactly the way the Most High commands us to do it. Okay, and so let's move on to the next verse, which is 5. So they went near, verse 4. Then Moshe called Mishael and Elsaphan, the sons of Uzziel, the uncle of Aharon, and said to them, come near and carry your brethren from before the sanctuary out of the camp. So they went near and carried them by their tunics out of the camp, as Moshe had said. Okay, and so I'm thinking that, the definition of devour, like it just devoured them. It's like a consume of fire. When I read a little bit on that, some believe that it could have been like lightning struck them. Okay, bolt of lightning fire came down and struck them. Not so much of burning them up to ashes. It just basically struck them dead, and that's why they was able to pull them out by their tunics, because if they were consumed totally to ashes, they wouldn't have had anything to pull them out or take them out with, to carry them out with. And so that's just a thought. Okay, that's just a thought. Okay, let's move on to the next verse. And so they went near and carried them out by their tunics out of the camp, as Moshe said. And verse 6 says, and Moshe said to Aharon and to Eleazar and Ithamar his sons, do not cover your heads nor tear your clothes, lest you die and wrath come upon all the people. But let your brethren, the whole house of Yasharal, bewail the burning which Yahuwah has kindled. Okay, And so I'm thinking that back there in that time, okay, when they basically lost a loved one and they grieved, weep behind that, they basically uncovered their heads and they tore their clothes. And so when I looked up uncover, uncover is H6544, and it's pronounced para, para, and that is to make naked, especially by shaving. And so with that being said, most likely when someone passed away or they was in deep grief, they would shave their heads, shave all their hair off their heads, and also tear their clothes. Okay, and so let's move on to the next verse, and that is 7. Okay, and it says, "You shall not go out from the door of the tabernacle of meeting lest you die. For the anointing oil of Yahuwah is upon you." And they did according to the word of Moshe. Okay, and so basically when I looked up the word bewail, that basically means to weep, to limit. Okay, you just in deep grief over your loved one. And also I looked up the word anointing oil, and that was H888, and that is pronounced maklah, maklah. Okay, so with that being said, I just want to say that obedience is better than sacrifice. Okay, in the previous chapters, the Most High told Aharon and his sons what they have to do to consecrate themselves, to ask for forgiveness for their sins first, and then that was a way to prepare themselves to be able to ask the forgiveness of sin for the nation of Yahshua. He was very detailed, okay, and when he seen that they offered, laid everything out the way that he asked for them to be laid out, was 5 different offerings, I believe. Then the Most High came down with a fire and consumed that offering. And I also want to say that fire from heaven is mentioned 12 times in the Tanakh, okay, better known as the Old Testament, but it is found, let me repeat, the fire from heaven is found 12 times in the Tanakh, okay, and 6 of them is in a beneficial way, okay, where it benefits you, and then 6 of the ways was in judgment, okay. And so I do want to take the time to read these 12 verses real quick. We will start Leviticus 9:24, okay, 9:24, and it reads, "And fire came out from before Yahuwah and consumed the burnt offering and the fat on the altar. When all the people saw it, they shouted and fell on their faces." Okay, and so these are 6 verses in the Tanakh that's showing you how it was in a beneficial way when the Most High sent fire from heaven. And the next verse will be Judges chapter 6. Let's go over here. Let's see, Judges chapter 6 verse 21. And it reads, "Then the Malachim, that is the angel of Yahuwah, put out the end of the staff that was in his hand, and touched the meat and the unleavened bread, and fire rose out of the rock and consumed the meat and the unleavened bread. And the Malachim, the angel of Yahuwah, departed out of his sight." Okay, that's another instance of where the Most High Yah sent his fire in a beneficial way to consume that particular offering, okay, in a good way. And then the next verse is right next door, Judges chapter 13, and that's going to be verse 20. 13:20, and it reads, It happened as the flame went out up toward heaven, the Shamayim, heaven, from the altar. The Malachim, angel of Yahuwah, ascended in the flame of the altar. And when Manoah and his wife saw this, they fell on their faces to the ground. And one thing I noticed too about the beneficial part of the fire that came from heaven, when our people seen it, they fell. Oh man, they humbled themselves. They basically fell before the Most High. Okay, let's keep it moving. Let's now go to 1 King 18:38, and that is 1 King 18:38. Let's see. Okay. 18:38, and it reads, Then the fire of Yahuwah fell and consumed the burnt offering and the wood and the stones and the dust, and it licked up the water that was in the trench. Okay, again, the Most High Yah came down with fire from the Shamayim in a nice way, a beneficial way, and he basically consumed the burnt sacrifice. Okay, let's keep it moving. We're going to go to 1 Chronicles 21. 1 Chronicles 21:26. Okay. And it reads, 1 Chronicles chapter 21 verse 26, and it reads, And David built there an altar to Yahuwah and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings and called on the name of Yahuwah, and he answered from heaven by fire on the altar of burnt offering. You see, again, the Most High did this in a nice, beneficial way. He came and consumed Dawid, which is David's offering. Okay, let's keep it moving. Okay, so that is 1 King 18:38, and it reads, Then the fire of Yahuwah fell and consumed the burnt sacrifice, and the wood, and the stones, and the dust, and it licked up the water that was in the trench. Again, this is another beneficial fire from the Shamayim that came down to consume the burnt and the sacrifice that was laid out before him. Okay, so now we're going to look at 6 fires that was sent from the Shamayim, from heaven, in judgment. Okay, and basically we're going to try to go in order here. We're going to start Numbers 11:1. Let's see. Numbers, let's get over here, 11:1, and it says, Now when the people complained, it displeased Yahuwah, for Yahuwah heard it, and his anger was aroused. So the fire of Yahuwah burned among them and consumed some of the outskirts of the camp. Okay, and so, man, we don't want to be up under the Most High fire judgment, because we see right here that the people complain, and we are some complaining people. We have to stop complaining. All praises for the Most High Son, Yahushua HaMashiach, because if it wasn't for him standing in the gap, a lot of us would be consumed by the fire of the Most High Yah. Okay, let's keep it moving. Let's go to Numbers 16:35. Okay, 16:35. Okay, and it reads, And a fire came out from Yahuwah and consumed the 250 men who were offering incense. And so I'm thinking these 250 men, they was offering basically a strange fire before the Most High, like Nadab and Abihu did. And the Most High came down and basically consumed them. Wow. And consumed all those people, basically killed them, okay? Because they was doing things the way they wanted to do it, not the way the Most High commanded it to be done, according to Leviticus. Leviticus, basically, I want to say chapters 8 and 9, is basically showing you specifically how he wanted the offerings presented to him. Okay, so let's keep it moving. We're gonna go from there, and we will go to Job 1:16. Okay, let's go over here. Job chapter 1. Okay, Job chapter 1 verse 16, and it reads, while he was still speaking, another also came and said, the fire of Elohim fell from heaven, the Shamayim, and burned up the sheep and the servants and consumed them, and I alone have escaped to tell you. Okay, so most of us, we know this story about Job losing everything. And so this was basically one of the calamities that fell on Job, is the fire from the Most High came and fell from the Shamayim and burned up the sheep and the servants. He consumed them. Okay, let's now go to Kings. That's going to be 2 Kings chapter 1 verse 10. 2 Kings 1 and 10. Let's see. Okay, and it reads, and Elijah, and I want to say these last two verses, both of them is coming out of 2 King, first chapter, verses 10 and 12, and they are basically saying the same thing, so I'm just gonna read it the one time. And this is 2 King chapter 1 verse 10, and it reads, so Elijah answered and said to the captain of 50, if I am a man of Elohim, then let fire come down from heaven and consume you and your 50 men. And fire came down from heaven, the Shamayim, and consumed him and his 50. You see that? That's the judgment of fire on wicked people. People that do not want to obey the Most High Yah commandments. They want to do things the way they want it done. The Most High ain't having it. Okay? And so the last verse we're going to look at is Revelations. No, I'm sorry, that's going to be Leviticus chapter 10 verse 2. And that is basically what we read out of the lesson, which says, so fire went out from Yahuwah and devoured them, and they died before Yahuwah. And that's basically talking about Nadab and Abihu being under the Most High's fire of judgment because they offered strange fire before the Most High Yah. When I read that, it also brought to mind Moshe, when the Most High told him to go and speak to the rock. Okay, so Moshe wanted to do it the way he wanted to do it. And he went and struck the rock with his staff. Okay, and the Most High was not happy with that. He paid a good price. He could not go over to the Promised Land. And so I just wanted to shed a little light on Leviticus chapter 10, the first 7 verses. The way we want to do things versus the way the Most High will have us to do it. The Bible also says that obedience is better than sacrifice. Okay, and so I just encourage the daughters of Zion to walk in obedience concerning the Most High law, statutes, and commandments, and you'll be okay. You will be okay. Okay, and another thing, we have to be careful about what we ask the Most High for. Because a lot of times I think coming through, I've heard people, in song or whatever, say something about, send the fire down, send the fire down. You better make sure that you are asking for the Most High beneficial fire and not fire of judgment. And so with that, I will say shalom, shalom, Yahweh.